What's up everyone, I'm Tony, and I'm gonna break it to you. You're not here right now to learn how to play the guitar, and I'm not here to teach you how to learn to play guitar either. I am here to show you that you have untapped potential, that you have the ability to transform and become a version of yourself that no one, sometimes not even you, could imagine. And I'll just happen to show you this by coaching you in learning how to play the guitar. And that's what I want this channel to eventually become. A source of tools and inspiration for you to use to find that version of yourself that is already there, but it's just waiting to be discovered. And the reason that I'm focusing on the guitar right now is that ever since I first started to learn how to play a couple years back when I was 21 years old, the guitar and music in general have completely transformed my life. And if you think that the guitar or any instrument would be extremely beneficial and fulfilling for you as well, I want to show you that you can learn, and I want to help you get there. That is why today I want to go over the 3 keys that are crucial for effective transformation. Now, I didn't come up with these. There are different versions of these ideas out there, and one that I like a lot is how Stephen Covey explains them as the first 3 habits in his book, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, which I would highly recommend if you want to give it a read. But there's this other version that the learning and memory expert Jim Quick explains in his book, Limitless. And he lays out the 3 keys very neatly in this diagram. And he states that only when you cover all of these 3 keys is that you become what he calls limitless. And that's where you truly start to tap into your full potential. The first one to look into here is the mindset. You need to have a growth mindset in order to effectively improve. And having a growth mindset means that you understand that your intelligence, that your skills, and that your knowledge, that they are not fixed and that these can grow and improve over time. Not only that, but having a growth mindset means that you see failure not as a setback or as an evidence of your lack of intelligence, but you see it as an accelerating opportunity for growth and for expanding your existing abilities. When it comes to the guitar, if you try learning something today that feels impossible, always remember that if you come back the next day and you practice it again, it's going to be easier and you'll be doing it better. And if you come back the day after that, it'll be even easier and you'll be doing it even better than the day before. Even if it's a slight difference that is really difficult to notice on a day-to-day basis, every day, and this is really important, every day you improve based on the skills that you already have. So what does that imply exactly? Let's do a made-up example and say that you improve by 5%. You improve your ability by 5% after every hour that you practice. And now let's say that you practice 1 hour a day for 5 days a week for 1 year. So there are 52 weeks in a year, so that means 260 days of practice. So if you were to start today, let's say an arbitrary number of 100 units of skill. And by this I mean like 100 units of skill would mean that you barely even know how to hold a guitar. The only thing you know how to do with a guitar is how to do this. That's the only thing you know. So that's 100 units of skill. Because what you learn compounds day over day, and every day you improve based on the skills that you had the previous day. If you're learning 5% each day, that means that after a year, you would be at 32 million units of skill. That means that you would be 320,000 times better than when you first started. And of course, adding numbers to all of this is not completely accurate, but you get the idea. So every time that you feel that you suck, remember that absolutely everybody does at the very beginning. Even the very best guitar players out there started by sucking as well. So every time you feel like this, think about the rate at which you're improving, and that every day you're improving based on what you knew from the day before. And that if you manage to maintain that practice consistently, you would become really good in a short period of time. You just don't see that happen to people often because people usually are not consistent and they quit along the way. And a lot of the time what happens is that people fail to see the bigger picture and they just focus on that day and the pain they're feeling that day, and they feel like the effort that they're putting in or the level of difficulty is going to be the same way forever. And this is actually not the case. If you're practicing in the right things and you feel that pain and that effort, that means that you're pushing your limits and that you're improving. Think about it this way. When you're trying to build strength and you go to the gym and you work out your muscles and you push your muscles to the point where they hurt, you push them until this point because it is at this point that the fibers of the muscles rupture. And within 48 hours, nature overcompensates and rebuilds the fibers and makes them even stronger. But you have to give it the 48 hours, you have to give it time. So now let's say that you're practicing a chord that's harder to what you're used to playing, right? You're practicing and it's hard and you feel the effort and you feel the level of difficulty, but you know you're practicing the right chord and you're putting the fingers where they're supposed to be, for example, with the guitar. Now let's say that because you feel it's too hard, you just put down the guitar and decide not to come back because you just felt it was too hard. Well, that means that you never came back a couple of days later to practice and reap the rewards from the effort that you were putting in the previous practice. It's as if, let's say that you work at a company, right? And you go to work, you put in the effort, you clock in your hours, and then you just never come back to pick up your paycheck. And you just never cash out on the money that you earned from the work that you put in. If you truly understand the growth mindset and understand that it's up to you to commit to practicing, you could see massive amounts of improvement over a relatively short period of time. That's why it's all about practice and consistency in the right things. And notice the emphasis on making in the right things because we're going to get to that in a bit. The next key is motivation. For this one, I want you to take a second and think about the reason why you're here right now. I would be willing to bet that you're here right now because you see sometime in the future a version of yourself that is showing its full potential. And you want to discover what that version looks like. And you want to see what you can eventually become. In this specific moment in your life, you might be wanting to tap into that potential by learning how to play the guitar. But now I ask you, what does playing the guitar mean to you? If you're planning on learning how to play, I want you to think about that one big thing that is motivating you to learn, and I want you to paint a picture of it in your head as vivid as you can possibly imagine it. So close your eyes. If you need to pause this video, pause it, but think about that image right now. What is that picture exactly? Is it you playing your favorite songs in front of your friends and family? Is it you playing that song to that one person you've always wanted to play that song to? Or maybe you playing songs with that person you've always wanted to play songs with? Is there like a song in particular you've always been fascinated by that you've wanted to play yourself for a while? Or maybe it's you on a stage playing in front of people that all came to see you perform? Whatever that image is, whatever it is going to be unique to you and very specific to you. But again, whatever it is, let me tell you right now that the only thing that is stopping you from getting to that image, the only thing that stands in the middle between you and that picture is yourself. Because in the end, it all comes down to your willingness to do what it takes to get there. I want you to paint that picture very well in your head because that picture is going to be the catalyst. That picture is going to be the spark that's going to light up the fuel that will get you to sit down and practice consistently. Something that's really important for improvement in the guitar and many other things as well. Like Stephen Covey says in The Second Habit of Highly Effective People, you need to start with the end in mind. If you're going all over the place with no end in mind and no sense of direction, it is highly unlikely that you'll ever end up where you want to be. That is why starting with the end in mind and having that vivid picture in your head is going to serve as a compass for you to guide you towards your goals and to where you want to go. And then lastly, we have the methods. Remember when I said earlier that practice and consistency are extremely important, but only when practice is in the right things? Well, the methods are the actual day in, day out exercises and techniques. They are the lessons and the process that will effectively get you from point A all the way to point B. These are the tools that you'll use to achieve your objective. But these tools are only useful once you have the other two keys covered and you have both the growth mindset and the motivation that will empower you to complete these methods. Thankfully, you don't have to come up with the best methods and reinvent them yourself. And that's where I come in. I want to be your coach. I want to guide you through this process and provide you the very best methods that will get you the best results out of the effort that you put in. If you've heard of the Pareto principle, that states that 80% of the effects come out of 20% of the causes, or that 80% of the problems can be solved by addressing 20% of the solutions, or that 80% of the returns come out of 20% of the work. You get it, you can phrase it many ways. In the end, it all comes down to the same concept. And in guitar, it means that if you practice smart in the right things, you would see amazing results out of the effort that you put in. I want to be your guide through these methods. The fact that I just started playing a couple years ago is exactly what's going to make me the perfect coach for you. The same way that back in school, the person that teaches the best is often not the teacher of the class itself, who has been teaching the same concepts over and over again for as long as they can remember. But what they usually can't remember is what it feels like to be a student, and what it truly feels like to go all the way from incompetence, where you don't even know what you don't know, all the way to competence, to a point where you start getting it and start enjoying the results out of the work that you put in. And how this is exactly why often the person that teaches the best is the TA, or the teacher's assistant, who's that person who's also a student and who maybe saw the topics or studied the concepts for the first time, maybe the previous semester or the previous school year. They are that person who you come to for help, and all of a sudden they explain the concepts that you were struggling so much to understand, and they do it so clearly that you don't understand how you didn't get it earlier. The fact that I just recently went through the entire process and still have it fresh in my mind, it's going to be really powerful to help me guide you through exactly the steps that you need to take and in what order. So to wrap up, those are the 3 keys to effective transformation. So every time that you face an obstacle, you feel frustrated, and you consider quitting, remember that you have a growth mindset. Realize that obstacles are part of the process, and the very last thing that you want to do with an obstacle is quit. The very last thing you want to do is quit when it gets hard, because it is when it gets hard that the muscle fibers are rupturing, and you need to give it time for them to come back stronger. Also, always remember why you're sitting down in the first place. And remember that vivid picture in your head, because that is going to serve as your motivation. That is going to help you keep going. Even if that picture changes and evolves over time, that is completely natural as you go through the process of learning. But always keep it in mind. And finally, the methods. The Pareto principle. So smart and consistent practice in the right things are the final piece of the puzzle. But that's it for today, guys. So thank you all so much for watching. If you enjoyed this and found this concept to be helpful, please feel free to like the video and comment down below with anything that you thought. And make sure to hit that bell button so you get notified with new content. This is a fairly young channel, so any kind of support goes a long way. So thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.